You thought that spiritual awakening would make you free, but it left you empty. This is not a metaphor. It is exactly what is happening inside your head right now. That moment when everything made sense, when you understood that you are not your thoughts, that the ego is an illusion, that the universe flows without your control. You felt enlightened, didn't you? And now, months later, you can't get out of bed with the same fire. That awakening that promised to free you took something far more valuable from you: your desire to fight. Alan Watts saw it coming decades ago. He spoke about it with a brutal clarity that most people prefer to ignore. Because when you truly understand that everything is an illusion, that your goals are mental constructs, that your identity is a game of smoke and mirrors, something inside you breaks. And it isn't something beautiful. It's terrifying. Suddenly, that project that used to keep you up at night, that ambition that moved you every morning, all of it feels absurd. Why make an effort if in the end everything is emptiness? Why build if everything is impermanent? That's the trap. Spiritual awakening did not come with an instruction manual. No one told you that, along with peace, would come paralysis. No one warned you that when you see through the game, you lose the desire to play it. And now you are trapped in a limbo where you know too much to return to unconsciousness, but not enough to move forward without feeling like a fraud. Every time you try to motivate yourself, a voice in your head whispers, "This doesn't matter. None of this is real." And technically, that voice is right. But that truth is killing you slowly. Look, most people function on a beautiful lie. They believe their achievements matter, that their legacy will endure, that their efforts have cosmic meaning. It's an illusion, yes, but it's a functional illusion. It gives them fuel, it keeps them moving. You no longer have that. You looked behind the curtain, and now every action feels like empty theater. The problem isn't that you're wrong. The problem is that you're right. And that truth left you without tools to navigate a world that still runs on the lies you already discarded. Watts explained it with a devastating metaphor. It's like discovering that you are in a dream. At first, you're excited. You can fly, walk through walls. Nothing can hurt you. But then you realize that nothing you do in that dream has real consequences. And then what do? Do you keep playing knowing it's fake? Some can, but you can't, because your mind cannot ignore what it already knows. Every attempt to motivate yourself crashes against that truth like a wave against a wall. And the wall always wins. Here's what no one tells you about spiritual awakening. It is not the end of the path. It is the beginning of a much more complicated one. Because now you have to learn to live with an impossible contradiction. On one hand, you know that nothing matters in the absolute sense. On the other hand, you still have to eat, pay bills, relate to people who haven't had your revelation. You have to pretend that things matter while knowing that they don't. It's exhausting. It's like acting in a play knowing the audience is empty. How long can you keep that performance up before collapsing? And here comes the painful part. People who haven't awakened see you as if you were lost. They tell you that you need goals, purpose, direction, but you can no longer believe in those words the same way. For them, purpose is real. For you, it's a convenient mental construct. You can't return to that innocence, and they can't understand your dilemma. So you end up alone, trapped between two worlds, truly belonging to neither. Watts spoke of this as the illness of the enlightened seeker, the one who has already found the truth, but doesn't know what to do with it. Because truth, without a practical context, is useless. You can know that the ego is an illusion, but you still have one. You can understand that time is a construct, but you still age. You can comprehend that everything is one, but it still hurts when someone betrays you. Spiritual knowledge does not exempt you from being human. It only makes you more aware of how absurd it is to be one. So what did you do? You tried to force motivation. You read self-help books, listened to motivational talks, told yourself you had to keep going. But nothing worked. Do you know why? Because those tools are designed for people who still believe in the narrative. They are made for those who think success, recognition, achievement are ends in themselves. You can no longer pretend to believe that. Every motivational phrase sounds hollow to you. Every piece of advice feels superficial. It's not that you're arrogant. It's that you can no longer return to that simplicity. And that leaves you without a map. The real problem with spiritual awakening is that it destroys your illusions before giving you something to replace them with. It takes away your ego, but doesn't teach you how to function without it. It shows you that everything is emptiness, but doesn't explain how to fill that emptiness in a way that isn't just another illusion. And meanwhile, life keeps demanding that you act as if everything matters. Your boss expects results. Your loved ones expect you to be present. Your body expects to be fed. You can't simply retreat into the forest and meditate until you disappear. Or maybe you can, but even that is a decision, and decisions require motivation. And that's where you get stuck. Look, Watts had an answer for this, but it's not the one you expect. He's not going to tell you to recover your motivation through discipline or renewed purpose. His answer is far more disturbing, except that there is no motivation to seek. Motivation, in the traditional sense, was part of the illusion. You were motivated because you believed you were going somewhere, that you were building something, that your life had direction. But if everything is here and now, if the future is just a mental projection, then where are you really going? Nowhere. You have always been here. And that means that motivation, as you knew it, was just another game of the ego. But wait, this is where it gets interesting, because Watts wasn't saying that you should stop moving. He was saying that you should change the way you move. The difference is subtle but devastating. Before, you acted because you wanted to get somewhere. Now, you act because acting is what is happening. There is no goal, no hidden purpose, no reward at the end. There is only the act itself. You cook because cooking is what is happening in this moment. You work because working is what is in front of you. You walk because walking is the present movement. Nothing more, nothing less. That sounds liberating in theory, but in practice, it's terrifying. Because it means there is no safe place to arrive at. There is no future version of yourself that validates the present. There is no redemption, no culmination, no moment where you can finally say, I made it. There is only this, over and over again, this. And if you can't find peace in this, then you are condemned to seek something that will never arrive. That is the trap spiritual awakening set for you. It showed you that the destination is an illusion, but it didn't prepare you to live without destinations. And here's what really scares you. If there is no goal, how do you know whether you are moving forward or just wasting your life? That question eats at you. Because before, you measured progress with achievements, milestones, tangible things. Now what do you have? Moments, experiences, none of them adding up to anything, none of them taking you anywhere, just happening. And for a mind trained to think in terms of cause and effect, effort and reward, that feels like falling into the void. The truth is this: spiritual awakening killed your motivation because it took away the carrot that was always in front of you. That carrot was the promise that if you worked hard enough, if you tried hard enough, you would arrive somewhere better, a place where you would finally be happy, complete, fulfilled. But Watts tells you that place doesn't exist. It never did. Happiness is not at the end of the road. It's in letting go of the idea that there is a road. And that is what you cannot accept. Because if you let go of the road, what are you left with? Only the emptiness of the present, with no past to regret, no future to chase. And that emptiness terrifies you more than any failure. But here is the part no one mentions. That emptiness is not the enemy. The emptiness is the canvas. The motivation you lost was old paint, colors that no longer served you. You were painting an image someone else told you to paint. Now that the canvas is blank, you can paint whatever you want, or paint nothing at all. Both options are valid, but as long as you keep waiting for someone to tell you what to paint, you will remain paralyzed, because no one can tell you what to do with a canvas that only you can see. Watts called it the game of disguise. We are all acting, playing roles, following scripts we didn't even write. Spiritual awakening took away your script, but didn't tell you that you could write a new one. You were left there on stage, speechless, waiting for someone to give you your line. But no one will, because now you are the writer, the director, and the actor. And that freedom is crushing. It's easier to follow a script, even a bad one, than to write your own from scratch. That's why you lost your motivation. It's not that there's nothing to do. It's that there's too much to do and no guide on what to choose. And here comes the final twist. Maybe motivation wasn't what you needed in the first place. Maybe it was just another crutch, another way to avoid facing the present. Because as long as you're motivated, you're oriented toward the future. And as long as you're oriented toward the future, you're not here. You never were. Always one step ahead, always chasing, always believing that what you need is further down the line. But Watts tells you there is no further down the line. There is only here, and if you can't be here, then you can't be anywhere. So what do you do now? How do you regain the ability to move without the illusion that you're heading somewhere? That's the question that keeps you awake at night. And the answer is not comforting. You don't recover motivation. You learn to move without it. You learn to act without the promise of reward. You learn to live without the certainty that you're doing the right thing. Because the right thing doesn't exist. There is only what you do. And what you do is enough. Not because it leads somewhere, but because it is what is happening. That doesn't mean you give up. It means you stop waiting for the world to validate your actions. It means letting go of the need for your life to have a perfect narrative arc. It means accepting that maybe, just maybe, there is no great lesson at the end. There is only the walking. And the walking is enough. Not because it's special, but because it's all there is. And once you accept that, something changes. You don't recover motivation. You find something deeper. The ability to exist without needing a reason. Watts put it this way: the cat doesn't ask why it chases the mouse. It just does it. The tree doesn't question why it grows. It just grows. And you? Why do you keep looking for reasons? Life does not need justification. The problem is that you were taught that it does. You were told that every action must have a purpose, that every decision must take you closer to something. But what if not? What if you simply act because acting is what living beings do? What if the purpose of life is simply to live it? That is the truth spiritual awakening showed you, but that you couldn't integrate. Because integrating it means renouncing everything you were taught about how life is supposed to be. It means accepting that there is no final goal, no prize at the end, no hidden meaning waiting to be discovered. There is only this moment, this breath, this action, and then the next, and the next, without building toward anything, without advancing toward anywhere, just being. And here is the final paradox. When you stop looking for motivation, you begin to move. Not because you have a reason, but because movement is natural. When you let go of the need for everything to matter, things begin to matter in a different way. They don't matter in the grand cosmic scheme. They matter because they are here, because they are part of this moment, because they are what is. And that is enough. It's not a satisfying answer, I know. You wanted something more concrete, something you could apply immediately to feel better. But there are no shortcuts. Spiritual awakening took away your old tools, and now you have to learn to live without them. Look, you can fight this all you want. You can try to recover that old motivation. You can pretend that goals still matter to you. You can force yourself to believe in narratives that no longer resonate with you. But you know it won't work. Because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. It's like trying to believe in Santa Claus after seeing your father putting the presents under the tree. You can pretend, but the game is over. And the same thing happens with spiritual awakening. You already saw behind the curtain. You already know the magician is just a man with tricks. You can't go back to the audience and pretend the magic is real. So you're left with two options. The first is to become bitter, to become someone who knows too much, who sees through everything, who can't enjoy anything because they're too aware of the futility. That's the trap many fall into. They get stuck in nihilism, believing that if nothing matters, then nothing is worth it. And technically, they're right, but they use that truth as an excuse not to live. They sit on the sidelines, judging everyone else who still believes in the game, feeling superior in their enlightenment. But that superiority is just another ego, subtler, more dangerous. The second option is harder, but it's the only one worth taking. It's accepting that although nothing matters in the absolute sense, everything matters in the relative sense. That although your life has no cosmic meaning, it has the meaning you give it in this moment. That although your actions don't change the universe, they change your experience of the universe. And that experience is all you have. It's all any of us have. So why not make it interesting? Why not act as if it matters, knowing that it doesn't, but choosing to act anyway? That is the wisdom Watts was trying to convey. It's not about recovering motivation. It's about learning to play the game, knowing it's a game. It's about acting in the play even when you know it's fiction. Because the alternative is to sit in the dressing room, refusing to go on stage, waiting for something to change. But nothing will change. The stage will still be there. The play will continue with or without you. And if you don't go out, the only thing you accomplish is missing the experience. Not because the experience is important, but because it's all there is. And here's what really scares you. Maybe spiritual awakening didn't kill your motivation. Maybe it only killed the motivation that was based on lies. And now you have to find a new motivation, one that doesn't depend on future results, external validation, or false narratives about who you should be. Motivation that comes from the simple fact of being alive. That's the hardest motivation to find, because it doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. And inside, there is nothing except the emptiness you fear so much. But that emptiness, that blank space where your ego, your goals, your purpose used to be, that is where everything begins. Because only in emptiness can you create something genuine. Only when you let go of who you thought you were, can you discover who you really are. And who you really are doesn't need motivation. It simply is. It acts because acting is its nature. It moves because movement is inevitable. It lives because life is what it does. Watts summed it up in a phrase you probably hate. You are that. You are the universe experiencing itself. You don't need a reason to exist because you are the reason. You don't need motivation to live because life is what you are. But that phrase sounds beautiful on paper and feels empty in practice. Because you still have to get up tomorrow, you still have to face another day without answers. You still have to find a way to keep going when every fiber of your being tells you there is nowhere to go. And that's where you are now. Trapped in the space between awakening and integration. Between seeing the truth and learning to live with it. Between letting go of the old and finding the new. It is the most uncomfortable place there is. And there is no quick exit. No trick. No shortcut. No magic formula that gives you back the motivation you lost. Because that motivation is dead. And it has to be. Only in its absence can you find something real. So here's what you have to do. Stop searching. Stop trying to recover something that's already gone. Stop waiting for someone to give you an answer that will make you feel better. Because no one can. The answer is not outside. It's in the silence that remains when you stop searching. It's in the movement that arises when you stop forcing it. It's in the life that happens when you stop planning it. And yes, it's terrifying. And yes, it feels like falling. But maybe that's exactly what you need. To fall until you realize there is no ground. There is only falling. And once you accept that, falling turns into flying. That is the truth Alan Watts knew, and that you are beginning to discover. Spiritual awakening didn't kill your motivation. It killed your need for motivation. And now you have to learn to live without that need, to act without reasons, to exist without purpose, to be without becoming something. Because that, in the end, is what it means to be awake. It's not eternal peace, not constant happiness, not radiant enlightenment. It's simply this: living knowing that none of this matters, and choosing to live it anyway. That is the game. And now that you know, you can decide whether you play or not. But even that decision is part of the game. It always was. If you made it to the end, comment, "I shine," and I will personally reply to you. And if this resonated with you, subscribe to be part of it, and leave a like if you enjoyed it. Until next time.